Brian, welcome to the podcast.
It's good to be here, man.
How's it going? Good morning.
Yes, it is a good morning. Third day out of school.
I've got a little grid of who you are, but I feel like more than that, you can probably introduce yourself a little better. Who are you? What do you do?
I'm Brian Johnson. My wife and I, Jen Johnson, we've been doing the thing here at Bethel for 25 years. Have 5 kids. We kind of split our time these days in Nashville and Redding because we have offices there and a lot of the team lives there. It's really actually amazing. Just been doing this worship thing and writing and, kind of raising up the teams. We've had a lot of people come through here and we're still doing it. And it's been great, So it's amazing to look back, even this school year, and just see what God has done, kind of as a result of just continuing to just keep doing it, It's kind of cool.
It is cool. It's a privilege for me because I kind of get to see the end side of it. Like I've seen getting to see what you've got kind of fought for over the past couple of years, being at my first ever worship school, and it's already been freeing.
That's awesome.
And joyful for me.
It's great, man.
And one of the things that a lot of people will probably know of your name for is your songwriting. And even since being here, I've heard you speak multiple times like, songwriting is something I'm really passionate about. There was a video that was played about your 25 years of ministry, and this word spoken over you about how you'll be able to capture theology and bring it into songwriting. I guess what part of your life does songwriting play? What does it look like for you? Do you do much of it?
I do. I think back years ago, I would push a lot more and grind a bit more. Now I have a little more seasons where I'll, like we were just off for like a month or so, and I just didn't even think about it on purpose. Like, don't go there, because once you start going there, your mind, it doesn't stop. And then you're up at night and so I'll just shut it off. But I'm definitely very still intentional and helping set up the co-writes with the different people when we go to Nashville, especially. And I always have like early on we got a lot of words about like Randy Clark's thing about writing the theology, and it's not just about writing the theology, but it's like pointing people to. Here, Bethel would be a good example of our songs going out and then people's looking back to Bethel and then getting a glimpse of through one song into this entire world, and kind of what God's doing here. So it's really it is a way to, in a good sense, advertise, what God's doing here, because songs travel, seems like way more than messages, it's easier to listen to a 3-minute song than an hour message. And being able to put in a song some of the key elements of what we believe, what we see, and then matching that lyric with a melody. And then I always have the thought, I always want heaven to be a part of the songs, like heaven, this sense of heaven. And I think a lot of the old hymns have that. When you sing those old hymns, you feel like heaven. You feel close to heaven. You feel like the great reward that's in front of us. And I think it's important to have that in the songs because it's inspiring to sing them. Then you're not force feeding people to sing them, but you've got like lyric that talk. Brooke did some last night where she was it was talking about kind of like the cross, resurrection, and then that kind of final day, and then us heaven, kind of that vibe. And the response that happens is pretty unmatched, really. So I think I always like the songs that have a part of that in there. Because it inspires worship, it inspires people to respond to God in a right way. And so, we're pretty obsessed with the writing thing. The whole group here writes a lot and really grinds, writes, rewrites, and really works. And everyone's working really hard. And so I feel proud about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful to hear you kind of even explain why songwriting means something to you, because you kind of get to play a part in what God's doing and hopefully see God do something in a moment through a song. I'm sure there's going to be lots of people watching who kind of have a desire themselves to songwrite. I know I've got a little bit of a desire in me. I'm like, I'd love to learn to songwrite. How practically do you begin a song, and like even should a song after you've written one?
Well, I think there's a thought. I think my dad said this, like, write what you want to see the church be. So in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And so it's like we're, as worship leaders, as writers, we're kind of pastors and prophets. So we're prophesying with our lyric what God is saying or what he's doing or what the churches should be singing, you know? But then we're pastoring with melody and with our chords, and we're making it. It's almost like when you give a kid a medicine, and every kid's medicine tastes like bubble gum or whatever. It's easy for them to digest, to take it.
Yeah, I still taste that.
we're doing that with songs. And the practical way that I kind of approach a song, it's different, but I think for me it would be like a word or just a thought, a theme, and then I always usually start with some sort of melody. But a melody for me, because we're writing worship song, it's a melody that I feel like could be, like easy to learn, hard to forget. You're catchy. Like you close your eyes, you're like from the audience to the stage instead of from the stage to the audience. So like, could we sing this all together? And then we call it a spark, having some idea that you can start with, and an idea that, and as you write and keep writing, you realize what's a good idea and what's like not the great idea. So usually you want to start with a good idea. And a lot of times those ideas start kind of in worship. So even there's been some melodies floating around the last few sessions, we're like, okay, that, and I was sitting in the back, going, okay, that melody they're coming up with right there, that could be a start to something. So we track all of our sets. And so sometimes I'll go back when I lead. If I felt like in the moment, this could be something, I'll go back and listen, and then I'm with my iPhone record it, from the stream. And then when I go into a songwrite or prepare for a songwrite, I'll pull that back up so it's fresh. And then usually when I hear something fresh, like a melody or whatever, I call it like piggybacking. You hear that and it inspires something else. And then I'll just go for it. And Brian Dirksen, an old friend of ours, worship leader guy who wrote "Come Now's the Time to Worship" and all those songs, he says, you want to get yourself to a real comfortable spot, shut the door behind you so no one can hear. This is what he did, and just let it fly. So it's like you're listening to an idea, a vibe, and then after that, you just, whatever comes out, whether it's pen on paper or whether it's melody. And I always have the voice memo going. I have my phone during worship up there with me. And there's sometimes that there's a flow and the band's going, and and I'll just kind of turn around and I'll just kind of hum something, that I have, and then I have it. So I do that even in worship. So your antenna is always up trying to catch, really heaven. You're trying to catch the God ideas, not to over complicate it and spiritualize it, but it's all spiritual. The God ideas that, like Matt Redman says, when it starts in worship, it usually works for worship. And there's some real amazing, and I think a lot of it is just stewardship, and I think a lot of people might be missing it because they're trying too hard to force something. But when you're subconscious, there's an overflow in that worship atmosphere. I guarantee, like tonight, when we're doing worship and there's just flow happening, if people have their iPhones out, now obviously there's a time and a place for it, but like the creativity juices are flowing, right? When the Holy Spirit is present, when his people are worshiping, there's ideas coming for music, there's ideas for innovation, there's all the above. When God is present, we become fully alive, and we come up with ideas that we would never have come up with if it wasn't for his presence. So not to take advantage of that, but there's a reason why that's happening. And a lot of people are just, they're stuck. This is the only posture that I should be doing when God's there. And God's like, I feel like God's like, nice. You learned that, but I'm trying to speak to you. I'm trying to co-labor with you. I'm trying to give you ideas. So in that environment, like let's say tonight or this morning, if people have their phones out, not to be distracted on it, but I guarantee if people just kind of sang or jotted down some ideas or thoughts they had in the worship, they would be very surprised with the quality of those ideas. So trying to get people inspired to realize like there's a reason for this we're doing, that God's speaking to it. Anyways, we've written a lot of our songs in that environment, a lot of our big songs. I could go literally down the list.
It's funny, lots of people who we've interviewed so far who are songwriters have said a similar thing. It's just taking notes. It's being attentive to the moment. It's like grabbing something when it's there so you don't forget it. I think even yesterday I had like a little song lyric whilst worship was going on.
Really?
And I was like,
do you have it here?
And I forgot to, well, this is the thing, I forgot to note it down.
Oh yeah.
And I got back to my hotel and I was like, what was that? Like I'd totally forgotten it.
Yeah.
And so it is like getting in the rhythm and the habit of like noting. Something I'd love to hear your thoughts on. I think it's so inspiring to hear that you've written songs with like the future in mind. And you've written songs for like 10, 15 years. And I kind of can say from my experience, that's totally true. Like I'm singing songs that you've written 10, 15 years ago in my church.
Yeah. That's cool.
Seeing the fruit of that now.
Yeah.
And it's like beautiful. And you were prophetic and you were almost like a forerunner in a sense, like you went somewhere when it didn't quite make sense for a lot of people. And you've kind of like paved the way for a lot of people to kind of follow into your footsteps and try writing, which is great. Something that I think is interesting, that I think you'll find interesting, is how to be a songwriter in 2025.
Yeah.
Because it's actually pretty tricky. Like, there's loads of noise. Lots of people are posting things all the time. It's like the easiest and the hardest time.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I struggle with the longing to be excellent whilst also going on this process of trying to remove the performance in me and the perfection in me. And so how do you think we can be the best songwriters we can in 2025?
Yeah, I think a lot of, sorry if I'm twitching, it's because my neck. I think it's sad to see some of the main influencers responding to what's going on instead of bringing something fresh regardless of what's happening out here. So like, it's easy to get on Instagram and see all this going on and then write or make a message to try to like respond to all the noise. But it's like a dog chasing its tail. You're chasing every day it's something new, and you're trying to put out fires and trying to pasture your flock and feed the sheep. But the truth is, like, a lot of that, if you're chasing the noise and everything you're doing, writing or whatever, is just a response to that, almost like in the defense. And I get the heart behind it, where you're like, okay, the world's facing this, people are facing this. I'm going to use my ministry or my gift to try to bring something that can help them. I think it's beautiful, but I like, for me, like, honest, I've been off Instagram for 8 months. Now I have the luxury of doing that because the label has a big following, and the label's doing a lot of stuff for the work and posting my songs and the albums and everything. So I have the luxury of doing that on a work level that a lot of people don't, right? I get that. And I'll fully own that and say a lot of people can't just get off if they want to survive, and make money and whatnot, or have an impact in ministry. But I've just chosen to just be off because I just don't do well. Because when I see it all, I see I see a fake world. People starving for attention. I see fear. I see it. None of it's real, like actual real. People are saying what they are trying to say, but in a roundabout way. They're not just saying it. I'm scared, or I want attention. It's like the post of Bible verse, and they look all cool, and but
like a mirror selfie with a Bible verse,
and then they have a Bible verse. And you're like, that's just kind of feels like you just think you look really cool in that picture and want you to say that. Things like that.
Yeah.
So I think when we get caught up in that, if it doesn't feel like the water's pure, it doesn't feel like the stream is pure. But I do think that if you remove yourself from that and you're just like, all right, Lord, what are we doing here? What are you saying?
Yeah,
and love leads prophetic. Prophetic should be an overflow out of love. I think that's a really safe way to approach the prophetic. If it's an overflow from love, and even with our songwriting, if it's an overflow from love, not an overflow, not a reaction, I think it'll be real safe, and it'll last 1,000 years. I find that when we react to things, it might feel cool in the moment, but it won't last. It'll always kind of fall short. But when we're writing, even like just thinking about some of the songs so in the Bible, there's a word called the Miktam, Song of the Psalms, and it was a song to be engraved, to be kept in memory for the next generation and the next generation. When you engrave something like in a stone, it's there forever. And I think what we should be doing is trying to write the eternal songs, trying to write the songs that get people out of the day that they're in, instead of keeping them in the day that they're in. So writing songs that and all my friends are doing it. You know, some of these songs you're just singing, you're like, we could sing that song 100 years ago. We could sing that song 5,000 years from now. Like it's truth. It'll always be truth. Regardless of what's going on in the world, it is what it is. And that's the kind of stuff that I am into, because it feels eternal.
And it's a funny balance. In a world that reacts. To try have your mind on the eternal. You know, it's easy to look to someone else and be like, oh, they're doing the thing. And then you look at yourself and you can feel either disappointed, discouraged, or like you need to fit into that box. But actually, that's not how we were meant to be.
Yeah, and all of that goes away when you remove yourself from it. Like, it's kind of you get your power back and you get your originality back. And you're not spending all your mental and energy trying to compare, you know. And I really have a heart, especially for this generation, the kids, I have 5 kids, and the pain that's happened from Instagram, from the pressure, from the comparison. It's just firsthand. We've experienced it with kids, and it's terrible. So I do think removing yourself from that, maybe not indefinitely, but having seasons where you remove yourself from that, is really important, you know, And
one of the things it sparks, I think, is that you need to be perfect. Like we sing songs all the time, songs that you've probably been a part of, like, you know, The Blood comes to mind. Like, it's never been about performance. It's never been about perfection. And yet, when you look on social media, even the people singing those songs are posting their perfection, posting the good sides of their life.
I know.
And that can be really challenging. And I think that does affect people's writing.
Yeah, I feel like if we could just send a message out to at least the Christian world, all of our peers, please start posting normal things, please. And I think it's really important for even our evangelism and people meeting God.
Yeah.
Like, the more we post just normal, family, friends, kids, there's something that speaks such volumes.
It makes it approachable, doesn't it?
Makes it approachable, yeah. And there's something about, like, we're living in the same world that you guys are all living in. We have the same issues that face us that we're having to navigate. But what we're choosing to do with these issues is we're turning to God, and we're trying our best to make decisions based on the Bible. So it's almost like a better testimony, instead of like, we're all going to create this crazy world that's actually not real. But the more real we are, I think, with people, it shows how amazing this God is. And but I feel we're kind of getting there, you know. But I really wish, man, I think that's why sometimes those reality shows have done so well. It's because at least, and we all know that they're not totally real, but at least it feels like, that feels like me. Feels real.
Yeah.
Oh, they go through the same stuff, and I'm attracted to that. And the more we can do that, man, oh, dude, it would be incredible.
It's like just being authentic, isn't it?
100%, dude. Being authentic.
And you can't do that when you're reacting. You can only do that when you sit under God. Yeah. Not sit looking at social media.
Yeah.
Because he's the one that affirms who you are. He's the one that releases who you are. Something that I personally want to ask, just because it's so fun that I get to interview people, because I get to ask questions
and
that I want to know.
You're really good at it. You're like the best, dude.
Oh, thanks.
You're hired.
Great, perfect. Moving here next week.
Dom picked a good one.
Oh, he's so sweet, isn't he?
Yeah.
We spent 3 hours in the sauna together.
You did? 3 hours?
That's how I got the little gig.
Really?
We just sat, and it was just so hot, but he was pouring his life out, and I kind of just was like...
You're such a good listener, that's why. He's like,
I almost died for the job, technically. I think one thing that I struggle with, personally, I love dreaming. Yeah. I've started a few different projects and businesses in my small amount of working life, just because I like ideas. I like going for things. But one of the things that I struggle with is the whole thing of excellence. Because whilst I want to be excellent at something, I also struggle with perfectionism and getting too caught up in a project to the point where I become a little bit of what I do rather than who I am. Yeah. So there's this whole thing that I struggle with kind of getting my identity all wrapped up, whilst also trying to be perfect, but also trying to be an excellent guy, pursuing an excellent God in what I do and glorifying God that way. What would you, there's not a specific question actually, it's just kind of what would you speak into?
I feel like that's like that $1 million question. That's a $1 billion question. Because I think for people that are creatives or are pursuing excellence, and it's a perfectionism versus excellence, it's like, I think you go back and forth constantly trying to find that balance, it's kind of like raising kids, and it's just trial and error, and you're finding that balance. So one thing my dad and my mom were amazing at, because I'm kind of like, I'll strive for excellence and discipline, and then it goes into perfectionism and bringing it back. And my parents were always really good. My mom used to just say, you just need to chill out. Just, you know what I mean? Paul Kane says, he's dead now, but he said, whether I raise the dead or take a nap, the pay's the same with God. So I want to be excellent. Why do I want excellence? That's the question. Why do I want excellence? And I think for me, it's internal. I'm made for it. I can't help it. I get more fulfillment out of that because it fulfills something that's internal. Probably the same with you. So, but if it starts getting perfectionism, then then it leans more into my identity. It's not an overflow as much, and it's more like a striving. And it's hard to know the difference. So I think we all have fought this. It's hard to know, am I striving for perfection, or is it an overflow? Am I wanting things to be excellent? Even with the teams here, especially in the early days, finding the balance. Yeah. And the identity piece, this is who I am. And if you take this from me and I lose this, then who am I? And the whole, but I don't know if there's an answer to that. I just think it's a constant journey. It's kind of like diet and working out or whatever, or health. It never is easy, and it's never perfect, but you just keep getting up. And if you, fall out of shape, whatever, get back on, and just keep working at it. Sorry,
no, it's brilliant.
Not the best answer to your question.
It's great. It's true. And even as you're speaking, I'm thinking about how sometimes excellence and in the name of like trying to do something really well can actually cripple and stop you from ever starting.
Totally.
What do you think some of the dangers in excellence and perfectionism could be?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't want to do it unless I'm the best at it. That kind of, I'm not going to do that unless I can master it. Part of that's good, but part of that's kind of bad. It's like, why can't I do something if I'm not going to be the best at it? Why won't I do something if I'm not going to be the best at it? And then you go, oh, okay. Because maybe people will see that I'm not that good at it, or maybe I'm wasting my time because, but really I think it's about following the Holy Spirit. It's about following his lead, because the truth is, I think there's a lot of things in our lives that he's going to surprise us. Like, for instance, I think, okay, I'm good at certain things. So I stay in those lanes and it's a sweet spot, but God's probably like, cool, I want you to step into this area. And I'm like, why would I do that? Because I'm not as good at that as I am with this. And he's got all sorts of stuff up his sleeve. And throughout history, you know, like I talked about David, I'm like, David started as a shepherd boy with a harp, kind of mastered that, you know, and then he became a fighter. His season changed. And then from there he became king. If he wasn't pliable as a person, then he would have just stayed as a shepherd boy his whole life, but he would have been excellent at it. But God wanted him to grow in other areas. So for me, it'd be like speaking. I don't have an internal, man, I got to get up there and get the mic and speak and lead. But God's probably like, yeah, you need to apply yourself more. I'm like, well, why? I can songwrite and be great. Because maybe God's got a lot more for me, you know? And maybe I'm not excellent now, but maybe one day I will be. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing great.
But, you know, that's how he is with us.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because that's around yourself as well. You're like, oh, maybe God's got something for me in this other area. But like even now, listening to you speak, you saying this is something that's like not very familiar, maybe something new that God's calling you to. And I'm just sat here being blessed with wisdom.
Yeah.
And actually when you step out, when you like go into the place that God's kind of calling you to, it doesn't just like enable you in a new gift, but it's so that he actually wants to release something in others as well. It's because he's got this big plan to like do something awesome for others as well, and for his church maybe. Like even yesterday you spoke in the church, and you got to bring something to all these people that they would have missed if you said no to the calling.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I wonder,
Martin Smith, I love this. Martin Smith had I can't preach, but I can sing lyric. He had that on his songs. But what's interesting with Martin is when Martin speaks, you almost get more out of it now because there's a believability. And yet then again, it's the comparison. It's like, okay, we got these professional speakers, eloquent, perfect. But most of the time, a real person would prefer someone getting up and just communicating in weakness and just talking, telling stories of what they've learned. Yeah. Because they've, you know, like Martin, for instance, he's had this career, whatever. People want to hear from him because of that. And then the way he approaches himself is, I'm not this amazing whatever speaker, but when you hear him talk, you enjoy it, you get so much more than if he were to be a perfect everything, eloquent, everything, like a master of speaking. So I think that, because I don't think God ever like, you know, that David was ruddy, you know, they said ruddy, which it's cute, but not perfect. But that's got what God had in mind. So God doesn't necessarily need the perfection, you know?
I mean, if Paul
100%
himself saw himself speak, it says in the Bible that he wasn't the best communicator. He wasn't a great preacher. So he actually got pulled down whilst he was trying. If he then associated that with teaching,
Yep.
and was like, oh, actually, maybe this isn't my calling.
Exactly, because we say
Then we would have missed the whole New
our
Testament.
calling is based on if we're excellent according to
Everyone's standards.
all that stuff.
If you just looked at Peter and was like, oh, Peter just preached a crazy sermon. Who am I? Got discouraged and then just went and made tents, never tried ministry. We would have missed out.
That's right.
And God would have used someone else in his sovereignty, I'm sure. But it wouldn't have been Paul. And so, I mean, I feel stirred. I'm like, great, I've got to go try.
Mm-hmm.
Before we wrap up, we've talked a lot about perfection and like the general themes. Just to get a little personal in your life, has there been failure in songwriting that you've actually learned from, that we can also learn from?
Yeah, I tell you, it's there's been some ideas, and when I'll do songwriting talk this week on it, when you have an idea that you know is like amazing, just maybe it started in worship and just people grabbed onto it, and then you forcing it into a song too soon, and you know internally it's amazing part, but maybe we're trying to force it and then release it just to get it out. Never a good idea. And so a lot of the failures that I think I've made is like settling for ideas around that spark, that initial spark that weren't as good, and then the song flops and it doesn't do anything. Whereas I probably should have, like Holy Forever, we had that bridge for a long time, tried to fit it into 1 million songs, and didn't on purpose, and then finally when all the Jen had the little chorus melody and then all the things. That's a good example of that song would have not done it. So if we would have forced that bridge into the 20 songs we tried to put them in, it wouldn't have done what it did.
So interesting.
So a lot of the failure is rushing the process. And so obviously there's a spiritual parallel to that. Rushing the process. Israel wanted a king. God gave him Saul. They rushed the process. And that ended in failure. So there is a lot of parallels with that. So I think a lot of the failure would be rushing the process.
And that's really tricky.
It is tricky.
We're in a world where you can order something on Amazon and it comes the same day. Like you can kind of do anything by the snap of your fingers.
Yeah.
Anything is possible to happen tomorrow. Like you could blow up on Instagram overnight and suddenly you're a millionaire. Everyone wants something straight away. And learning to, even you said earlier, chill out a little bit, even in songwriting, even in your business, even in your idea, can be really hard.
A friend of ours said, cool is cool as long as cool is cool, but excellence lasts forever. So I think it's kind of a cool phrase, because like cool changes, the idea of what's cool changes, like fashion. It changes. And like 10 years ago, fashion was like, what is that? But back then you're like, it was the best thing ever. So cool is ever changing, but excellence is connected to heaven, connected to eternity. It's those things that need to be engraved in stone, like the Mictum song. And so if our pursuit is not just for the here and now, but for eternity, and something that's excellent, like excellent art, speaks of heaven, speaks of God, showcases the greatness of God. Because excellent art has the humanity, it has the struggle, but it also has that connection to like God, the divine, you know.
It's brilliant. It's been so like practical as well. There's so many like lesson points. Like, oh, actually, I want to be someone who doesn't react to culture and try fit something into this. I'm gonna seek eternity. I'm gonna look to Jesus and be like, oh, how can I write a song that lasts 100 years? I mean, even as you were speaking that earlier, I was thinking about Amazing Grace. I was thinking about grace, that faithfulness. These
not
songs
going anywhere ever.
The what? Sorry,
they're not going anywhere.
No, they're not, and they will still last. It's like whatever culture shifts, whatever changes happen, these songs will still probably be sung in like hundreds of years.
And the stories of those songs, like Amazing Grace, story is intense.
Oh my gosh!
Like you want to talk about like brutal. the guy that wrote that. The encounter, the grace that, you know, like that to me is the most powerful, because you got this guy who's just radically transformed from what he was, and the whole story's out there, and he writes this Mictum song like because of that, out of that season. He didn't sit there and try to polish it up. You know, what's the songwriting story? Well, I was talking to Cody last night. It was about Firm Foundation. Great worship song. It's like, I wrote that in the shower. The idea came in the shower. That's the real story. Yeah. In the normal. Well, that's the real story. Tell that story. I mean, don't describe that story, right? Don't describe that scene.
Don't describe it too much.
But tell. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And it's being attentive in those moments.
100%.
It's like not assuming that in order to write a good song, you have to
When
be in
that guy wrote Amazing Grace, a wretch, he felt it.
Yes.
Was blind, but now I see. It saved a wretch like me, because he was that.
Yeah. But it's funny thing, I've never thought about this before. If he tried to react to what the culture was saying, because the whole song was kind of written out of finding grace in the midst of failing within slavery context, right?
Yep.
If he wrote that song out of reaction and included themes around like what it was to be like a slave owner, then we wouldn't be singing it to this day.
100%.
But he had his eyes on eternity.
Exactly.
And that's what made it long lasting.
That's right. He had his eyes on eternity, and that's what made it last. That's a great phrase. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, do it.
Stealing that.
Brian, that feels like a natural end. Thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you, man.
Bless you in all you do.
Thanks, man.